Previously on YouTube.
Why would you go to Antarctica? It's at the bottom of the world. Are you nuts?
You're gonna freeze to death.
Why are you doing this?
Are you gonna get cold? Are you gonna freeze your butt off?
That's stupid.
Have you thought this through? Why?
So, when we last left off, I was getting on a boat at the very bottom of New Zealand. I was about to head for the coldest, driest, windiest continent on planet Earth, Antarctica. Wait, let me put this in some context. You see, I'd won a competition put on by Oceanwide Expeditions, a company that specializes in visitations to the polar regions of Earth, but only Earth, funny enough. Basically, I fretted about buying the right jacket, overpacked, drove to the airport, flew on planes with my wife Katie, flew over the ocean, landed in New Zealand, or is it on New Zealand? We drove around the South Island like crazy people, eating food, admiring sheep.
Oh look, there's a nice sheep.
And then parted ways. Katie flew towards home, on more planes across the same ocean. Turns out the Earth is round. And I got on a ship that was heading so far south that it made my home, the great southern state of Alabama, seem like a distant northern province. Turns out I didn't really live in the South. Not really. Don't tell other Alabamians I said that. Thanks. I had no idea what was in store for me. Did I pack the right gear? Did I bring enough hard drive space? Was I going to get seasick? Was I going to be able to communicate with other people on the ship? Well, yes. Everyone speaks English because, well, history and all that. But I didn't realize that. It's easy to get so carried away with anxiety that reason leaves the room. So we set off, leaving the civilized world of New Zealand behind. Our first stop was a sub-Antarctic island called Campbell Island, one of the 5 sub-Antarctic islands that New Zealand owns and maintains. Now, this wasn't right around the corner or anything. It was a couple of days worth of sailing just to get to this weird, magical island place. But first, let me tell you about another place called the ocean. Most of the time, for most of us, the ocean is a blank space. Just an empty void between all the interesting bits. But I'm here to tell you that this is no void, but instead a surreal, dynamic landscape, or seascape, rather. The waters we traveled through weren't necessarily dangerous or mean, but they did make our ship feel like a cheap children's toy. Much like staring into a field of stars at night, being in a ship on the ocean will make you feel small, insignificant, and very much at the mercy of the larger world. The ocean is massive, and like your pet turtle, doesn't really care about you.
Oh, it's you again.
And so we made it to Campbell Island, New Zealand's most southerly territory. Uninhabited, remote, pristine, the island has an interesting human history. But more interesting are the creatures and plant life that call this place home. There were erect-crested penguins and pipits, and a species of flightless nocturnal duck that I never saw, and a very rare bird called the Campbell Island snipe. I saw one of these, I swear it. I just didn't catch him with my camera. Also, this is the main breeding ground for the rarest penguin in the world, the yellow-eyed penguin. I mean, the former president of New Zealand. I didn't see any of those either. Sad. And check out these odd things. They're called mega-herbs. Very large, highly adapted perennial wildflowers with great big corrugated leaves. They dot the sweeping landscape of tussock grass meadows all over the island. They're very colorful, alien, and found nowhere else. Campbell Island is also the breeding location for some 90% of the Earth's population of southern royal albatrosses. I didn't care much about albatrosses, generally. Turns out that was because I hadn't really met any. These birds are enigmatic and surprisingly large, sporting a nearly 10-foot wingspan. And look at this albatross chick. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Overall, Campbell Island was incredible. Wild, windy, and very much an otherworldly place. I'll never forget the quiet moments spent near the top of the island, watching the wind whip over the tall tussock grass. You couldn't mistake this island for any other place on Earth. However, our time was limited, and we had to set off for our true destination, the Great White South. It wasn't as simple as setting off for our next destination, though. For us, Campbell Island was 2 days worth of sailing from New Zealand, and Antarctica was going to be another 4 days yet. But it was more than that. Something about the process of moving at the speed of a bicycle through the tumultuous, broiling Southern Ocean, about bumping into the first serious chunks of Antarctic ice appearing suddenly out of the mist. It was like traveling back in time, or to another planet. The light-hearted frivolity with which I typically approach travel transformed into something else. Awe. Like the explorers and whalers who first approached this place, I found the mystery of Antarctica to be palpable and infectious. And then we finally arrived. Cape Adare, planet Antarctica, squeezed between Southland, Victorialand, and the Ross Sea. It was everything you'd imagined Antarctica to be, and more. Suddenly there were crab-eater and Weddell seals, and penguins, and animals of all sorts everywhere. Ice chunks the size of office buildings gently floated alongside our ship. Oh, I should probably catch you up to speed on Cape Adare's history and importance. Okay, so Cape Adare was discovered way back in 1841 by A1 James Ross. Cape Adare and Antarctica count as an actual European discovery because there weren't people already there, unlike some other places. Norwegian explorers Henrik Bull and Karsten Bjorkevik made the first documented landing in Antarctica at Cape Adare in 1895, half a century after Ross was in the area. Bjorkevik came back in 1899 to conduct the first overwintering in Antarctic history, that is, an attempt to stay in Antarctica through the winter. That's not just regular winter, y'all. That's like when winter gets its own winter. So that's Cape Adare. Kind of an important place, and Bjorkevik's hut is still there and still surrounded by Adare penguins. And so we spent some time here, cruising around in Zodiacs and getting as close as we could to shore. We couldn't land because Antarctica had other plans. I mean, look at that. It's like trying to walk through a running dryer. We did, however, get to see a variety of wildlife that we had only really heard about from David Attenborough. Thanks, David. So that's how I finally got to Antarctica. Was this it? Was Cape Adare the only place we visited? Oh no, not by a long shot. There was a ton more for us to see and do. So keep an eye on this space, and I will show you more of what it was like to be down at the bottom of the world. Huge thank you to St. Vincent's Orthopedics of Birmingham, Alabama, who provided support for this undertaking. The physicians and staff of St. Vincent's Orthopedics are committed to excellence by providing the highest quality of orthopedic care possible. With their help, we managed to capture some truly amazing footage of the wildlife and landscapes of Antarctica. Thank you for watching. If you like this, then feel free to support this channel over on Patreon. And check out these videos too.